But this is still a serious threat. Yeah.
To me, it's crazy because, like, the one state you wouldn't think it would happen in even. Like,
Texas.
I feel like Texas is the place, like, this would never be possible.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to Behind the Glass. You and I were talking over the week, and I even sent you a video about this.
Mm-hmm.
We did a video, I don't know, what was it, last week sometime, about talking about the Africa thing and how there's potentially modern-day slavery going on in Africa through China's overtake. And now we have another instance of Chinese, what's the word? Chinese influence moving into America's freaking, our neighborhoods, okay?
We're moving onto our soil now.
Yeah, they're coming onto American soil.
Dirty. They're doing us dirty, too.
They're playing super, super dirty. And this specific incident that I'm referring to happened, I suppose I didn't look that up or anything for you.
I remember.
Hmm?
I remember.
You remember pretty much. It happened in Texas recently. There was a former CCP. Well, he was a People's Liberation Army general, and they're saying he was a retired People's Liberation Army general from China. And the People's, I think I'm saying that right.
But he still runs like their concentration stuff over there, right?
He's a very wealthy man. Apparently he's retired from the PLA or whatever.
Yeah, People's Liberation Army.
Yeah, apparently he's retired from that. He is a billionaire. And yes, he owns 2/3 of the real estate in the Jinping province. I had it written down. But he owns 2/3 of the real estate. Yeah, in the Xinjiang. I can't. Xinjiang. Well, it's Xinjiang.
We're not Chinese.
In the Xinjiang province. So the Xinjiang province is where there are a lot of. You might have heard of the Uyghur population in Xinjiang, which Xinjiang is in. It's in the northwest corner of China, I believe, and this population of Uyghurs, and it's not spelled with a W, actually. If you go look it up, it's spelled with a U. It's like UH something else, Uyghurs. But it's a specific population of they're not quite Chinese people. They're like part Chinese, part like European or something else like that, and they're Muslim. They're heavily Muslim people. And they've been oppressed for like an incredibly long time in China through the Chinese government and the Chinese people. And this specific General Sun, or Sun, one of the two, he is the guy who controls 2/3 of the real estate over in that Xinjiang province. So that's where all of these, the Uyghur population, you can look that up if you guys want to. You can look it up and find out just the oppression that those people have gone through from China. Like, they are into some dark stuff over there for controlling and trying to change that population of people. They're pretty much trying to wipe out their culture and transition them into the Chinese culture over there. And they're putting them through heavy oppression and heavy rules and regulations. Like, we're talking like body scanning and like checking their phones. Like, they have to go through checkpoints at any time during the day when they're walking down their streets. They have, and this is in Xinjiang. they have to go through these crazy checkpoints. Like they're in control of what their kids are like watching. And this general he's in charge of a lot of the real estate over there, basically is what I'm saying. And he's working in close proximity, if not directly for, which everybody seems to think it's directly for the Communist Party of China. So this guy, he went to Texas. They're saying that he's retired. You never really retire from the Chinese freaking government, basically.
Well, yeah, the stuff that we're going to talk about is very sketchy.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that now is happening here.
Yeah. And this guy, he's saying that he's retired, and he went to Texas, and he somehow was able to find a way to get a hold of a guy from Texas, of another wealthy Texas resident, so somebody that nobody would really, think twice about. He went through this guy. He had this guy go and put up the money to buy,
different ones, yeah. A bunch of property from a bunch of different people. It was
130,000 acres of land, which is like 200 square miles of property in Texas. He used this guy, this Texas guy. He used him, and all these people sold this land to this guy, this 130,000 acres of property. And then once this guy owned the property, he sold it to General's son, or just transferred it over to General's son right away. And now it is in Chinese control. And this property in Texas is located right next to, within 10 miles of America's largest pilot training Air Force base.
And on another note, which is also right, his land touches that and the border of Mexico.
Yeah, which is really sketchy. And I'm not sure I don't know. It'd
be easy for them to bring stuff in from Mexico through now because he owns borderland with Mexico.
Right.
Also, they said it'd take like minutes to seconds to fly to this Air Force base too.
Yeah.
From his property.
Oh yeah. And he did all of this under the guise of saying that he was putting this up and he was going to build a massive wind farm on this piece of land. Now, Kyle Bass is he's been a longtime critic of China, and he is an American entrepreneur. He's a billionaire. His company deals with managing hedge funds for people all over the world. But Kyle Bass, they were doing an interview with Kyle Bass, and he said as he was going through Texas, he was able to fly over this ranch. They called it the Morning Star Ranch, oddly enough. The Morning Star, in biblical terms, was
Lucifer's morning star.
Right. It's making reference to Satan, which we don't know if that's what they named it for or whatever, but given like the sketchy nature of the positioning of this piece of property, I wouldn't be too surprised. I just don't know how much China actually knows or believes in like the American Bible.
Yeah.
But
it could be a reference towards something like that.
Right.
Just to mock too.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
You don't know that. I mean, they're also big about the morning sun, or no, that's Japan. Sorry, my bad. But they have a thing with the star on their flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could reference something in their culture.
Yeah. And one of the Texas senators likened this ranch to like one of the Trojan horses. Like the Trojan horse thing where you move in. And the fact that they had the balls to set it up so closely to one of our largest Air Force training bases is incredibly sketchy. The other thing that he was going to do was these wind towers these turbines that he was going to put up were going to be 700. They were going to make them abnormally tall. And the height of them was going to be like 700 feet tall. And a normal wind turbine is usually in the range of 200 to, I believe, 300 feet. Something like that. So he was going to make these towers abnormally tall. And the other thing that Kyle Bass was saying is that on this piece of land, there was, when he purchased it, there was a current runway already there.
Well, then they're building it bigger. Yeah.
Set up. Yeah, it was set up for like private aircrafts to come in and out of. And it's like something in the range of like 4,000 to 5,000 feet long. Now, Kyle Bass was saying in this interview that 4,000 to 5,000 feet long is more than long enough for pretty much any kind of private or personal aircraft to land on that amount of runway. And according to the pictures, when he flew over this ranch, according to the pictures he took, he said his pilots that were flying him over this ranch estimated that this runway that they had on this ranch, they are making it longer. They've already been in the process of lengthening this runway, and they estimated the length of the runway to be about now 10,000 feet long, which over in the South China Sea, when China was building those islands, when they were building up those islands and taking over those islands in the South China Sea, and they were telling President Obama that we're not going to have, they told him we're not going to ever put military forces on these islands or anything like that. Come to find out, they did actually put runway strips on a lot of these islands out there in the South China Sea. And those, I believe, were 10,000-foot runways as well, and used for military aircraft, like big aircraft to come in and out of. Now, everything I'm saying, I'm not an expert. A lot of the stuff that I'm telling you is things that I've tried to do as much research as I could into the subject, but what you end up doing is just regurgitating a lot of information that other people are telling you. It's not like I've actually visited this ranch or anything, but this is the information. If you go online, you're going to find, I may be screwing some of this stuff up, but not much of it. And you're going to find the exact same information that we're giving you here right now.
Well, the guy did go look at it, too. He took a picture in front of the gate.
Yeah, he took a picture. That was Kyle Bass. And he took a picture of himself standing right out in front of their Morning Star Ranch.
Yeah.
And it's just what they were going to do with the wind farm was they were going to tie it directly into Texas power grid.
Well, because when they run on their own grid, they're like one of the only states that does that.
Right.
But also, he also mentioned like this place where they put up the wind farm is like a place not for wind.
Exactly. That was the other thing. Yeah.
So
Kyle Bass, he's a pretty intelligent businessman, and he's been involved in his own real estate projects, I'm sure. The guy's a billionaire. He said they did their research into it, and he said this area, which is in where did he say that was at? It's in southern Texas, this area where this ranch is at. He said you would never set up a wind turbine farm in this area of Texas. He said on a scale range of 1 to 10, if you were going to set up a wind farm, this certain spot for wind, there's no wind in this area. He said they would have given it a 2 or a 3 to set up a wind farm there. So there's plenty of other land that he could have bought where it would have been much more profitable and reasonable for him to set up wind farms on, but there's no wind in this area, apparently, or not much of it. It's incredibly close to Mexico. It's incredibly close to one of our largest Air Force training bases, and this guy bought up 200 or 130,000 acres of land. He did it
200 square miles. That's a big area.
It's ridiculously big, and he did it in a really sneaky and creepy way. Like, he bought it through someone else, so no one knew it was him purchasing the property.
Because they would have never sold him the property.
No, they would have never sold him the land. And then, him saying that he's going to build wind turbine farms, like I was saying earlier, that's going to allow him to tie into Texas's power grid system. And if he's able to do that, what we know about China, they would then be able to upload, if they have access to the power grid system, they can upload malware, spyware, anything to that entire grid. And it would give them...
Well, look what happened last year already. They had it shut down on the...
Oh, yeah.
Seems odd.
Yeah, exactly. It would give this guy such massive control over... And there's a lot of special forces, actually, guys, that live in Texas. I believe I was watching an interview with Joe Rogan, and with Joe Rogan and Tim Kennedy. And Tim Kennedy, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe he said, Texas has the largest population of special force guys, either ex or current. They're living in Texas right now. So
I'm sure you got a lot of homegrown, like militias too.
Yeah.
I'm sure down there.
So yeah, just what a ballsy move for this guy to move into Texas. Now, the absolute wonderful thing about this is the Texas legislature, I believe in May of this year, a Texas legislator passed a law, and it was called the Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act. And what this legislation, what this piece of legislation does, is it actually prevents General Son from creating this wind farm. As of right now, he is not able to build this wind farm. These were his plans. This is what he was going to do. Texas passed this legislation this year, I believe. It's called the Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act, and it prevents any foreign entities from coming in and doing anything that's going to connect to, power grid sources. So as of right now, this entire thing that he had going on, which is, it's such a scary, ballsy move. Like, he still owns the land.
Granted, he's one man, but like, think when he's gone, where do you think the land goes? Do you think he's like, I give it back to my motherland, China, right? Like,
yeah, and that's
then China will just technically own part of America.
Well, that's one of the things in the interview that Kyle Bass was talking about. He was talking about how if you are a general in the Chinese army, and the People's Liberation Army is basically, that's a term for like the land, air, and sea forces in China. If you're a general in that army, basically whatever you own, China owns. That's what they consider. So yeah, him buying this property, even though he's a billionaire and he bought this land, China owns this land. It's a Chinese base in America, and that's insane.
Now they have a runway to land planes if they want.
They're building, 10,000 foot at least runway, which is
bringing military aircraft, right?
Yeah, and I'm curious to know.
Not saying that's me and the conspiracy part coming out.
Well, no. What else would you do with it?
Yeah, why would you need a big ass runway? I guess he has his own private plane probably to land there, but
what a ballsy move, Yeah, they say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Well, China's
probably tied right in with the drug cartels, too, to help bring in drugs on the plane, right?
Dude, with this piece of property, there are so many things this guy can do. And then that amount, like that number of acreage, this guy can do some scary things. Trojan horse, yeah, that one senator from Texas, she said it right, Trojan horse, for sure. This is a sketchy thing. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to keep following the story as much as I can as to whether or not this guy figures something out with his wind turbines. But him being able to tie into the power grid, yeah, that's a big no-no.
And the funny thing is, we're all, like, a lot of the country's probably okay with this, but for us, like, for like an American to go over to China and do this, like, if you did the same thing and got away with it, like, they'd probably pull your ass and throw your ass in jail.
Yeah, you would.
And you'd be considered, like, stealing information and all kinds of stuff. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you wouldn't
North
get
Korea,
away with it.
Man, you'd be done. You'd be working the fields.
Yeah, man. It's the richest guy in China, that guy that was doing the interview with Elon Musk. China's wealthiest man. He went missing for a number of months.
Guy for Alibaba, right? You're talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
I forget his name. But.
I can't remember the dude's name either, but he went missing for a number of months because he had done something controversial with the Chinese government, and he just
went underground.
Poof. The richest man in China, he disappeared, bro, and came back a changed man from what I believe. I got to go read back into that story, but they will dust you up out there in China. They'll make sure you don't see the light of day again. They'll eliminate you. Yeah, they'll change. China is an incredibly scary country. Everything that they're doing with the Uyghur people, that's a story that you should look into. Incredibly wrong. It's pretty much, I'm not going to liken it to concentration camps.
Jack Ma is his name.
Jack Ma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminds me of his picture. He makes me think of the guy that the Gangnam Style song.
Whatever happened to that dude? He got rich and quit, huh? That song went forever, and he probably got his money and got out.
He's out. Yeah. I think he's probably Korean or something though. He wasn't even Chinese.
Yeah, and I think he made 1 or 2 more songs after that were like kind of big hits too. And he was like, "Yeah, see ya."
Yeah, that one song was like international, but I think after that it was just like his country was like,
yeah.
After that,
yeah, he bamboozled us once, and then America was like, "Okay, buddy,
fool me twice.
Get out of here with that crap." Yeah, sick and tired of these TikTok videos.
No, America's not.
No, we're not. But I did see a poll actually that it was one of those questionnaires like we were gonna do, but said which of these would you eliminate, and it was like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the majority of people clicked on TikTok. They would eliminate it if they could. Yeah.
Huh.
It was like over, it was like 60 or something % of people, and then like the rest of them were 20s and 10s and whatever else. But yeah, the majority of people were like, let's eliminate TikTok. It's a cancer. But apparently that's where you can make your fortune these days is TikTok. We'll see how long it lasts. It's short. But this is still a big problem. My point to bringing this up is Texas has passed this Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act, and as of right now, what this does is it cancels this any foreign entities from tying into our power grid, whether it be the electrical, like our water grids, our sewage grids, anything like that. It prevents them from tying into this stuff. But the guy still owns 130,000 acres next to our largest Air Force training base in Texas. And he that's still sitting right next to Mexico. We don't know what he's going to do. He's still got his runway there. No one knows what's going to happen with that just yet. I'm going to keep an eye on the story and update you guys as it goes. But this is still a serious threat. Yeah.
To me, it's crazy because like the one state you wouldn't think it would happen in, even like
Texas.
I feel like Texas is the place like this would never be possible.
Yeah. The only thing about this that's positive is the fact that the legislature passed this bill or this piece of legislation that prevents him from putting up this wind farm and tying it into the grid.
Snuck in there quick.
Yeah, other than that, like how the hell this guy got away with buying the land in the first place that's the thing. Like
money talks, bull.
That's true. America, we just want our money. Like, and to the guy who did all this, to the company or companies who did these backdoor deals for this guy, I hope he disappeared because you don't want anybody in Texas finding out that you are the one who sold him. You bought all this land.
They guarantee people know who did it after it happened.
Oh, yeah. Because you had to
go. Over there just got $10 million and he disappeared.
You better watch out. Yeah. Tim Kennedy lives in Texas, right?
You'd have to bring a guy in from another state, like somebody nobody knows, and just like slowly buy up the land, but not like make it. You'd have to be like sporadic and jump all over to get it all. So people would never see what's going on till the end. And then everybody be like, well, who did this? But the guy can't even be from there. Right. He probably not.
And then what I'm assuming is the guy probably did it through a shell corporation. Like he didn't, he had up an LLC or some kind of company made up. And it's not like he went door to door to these people's homes and was like, hey, I want to buy your property. I'm sure he had people go out there and they went out under the umbrella of a specific corporation that he had set up, and they said, we're from this group and we want to buy this property. And they're like, okay, we'll sell it to you.
Well, I'm sure it's tough. And they probably gave him a good chunk of money for it.
Oh, yeah. This guy's a billionaire.
Someone comes up to my door and is like, hey, I want to purchase your house for 4 times the amount you paid for it. I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Take it.
It's yours, though.
You want the dog, too? I'll give him to you. So, yeah, I don't know. Truly scary times. And the fact that, we took it seriously with the piece of legislation that got passed preventing him from tying into the power grid.
For sure.
But the fact that he was able to get as far as he's gotten and the fact that we know the power position that he held in China as a general for the People's Liberation Army. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
PLA, I believe.
Yeah. I believe so, yeah. The fact that we know all that stuff and this guy still got as far as he did with the land and the setup, like as close as he is within 10 miles of this Air Force base, I've watched Troy. I watched the movie Troy. I watched the way that Trojan horse went in through those gates. You know, they were celebrating, partying, and got drunk and fell asleep that night. Then these guys came out of that horse, burned that whole city to the ground. So we need to be incredibly careful. This guy is not somebody to take lightly. You know, we think, oh, maybe he's just in his retirement days and he wants to buy some land in Texas and like hang out. No, man.
That guy never thought of coming. I mean, why would he pick Texas?
Yeah, and the place he picked is incredibly strategic. You know, it's all very, very sketchy. So it's something that needs to be paid close attention to. But anything else you want to say about it? I don't know if you know anything I don't on it.
No, but the thing is, when something does happen, it'll be like 15, 10 years from everybody will forget like this even happened. Like they'll know how they came in, but nobody will know why.
Yep.
Because nobody, you know, most people. I mean, even we make this video, how many people are actually going to see what we just talked about? You know,
we'll see. I'll keep promoting this video forever. But yeah, you got to pay attention to this stuff. You know, one of the things I've learned from listening to people's podcasts is that, you know, if guys are sitting around talking, sometimes people just talking about certain things is an actual pretty big deal. You know, you're like, well, we can't really do anything about it. But sometimes just having the knowledge in your head and getting the knowledge into other people's heads, just to hear certain things sometimes is just, that's what people need. Like, that's where you start. It starts with the conversation and it goes from there. So we're having the conversation. That's about as much as I can personally do and we can personally do about this particular situation.
Well, everybody there already knows what happened, right?
Hopefully, you know, hopefully we're not all caught up in freaking COVID still and what's going on our TikTok or whatever else. Like, you need to like look around at some of the other things that are happening in the world. Some scary stuff going on.
I want to know, like, I think they need to figure out too, when stuff flies into his airstrip now, they need to be checking, like, does he have like diplomatic immunity on this property too? So he can just like bring in whatever he wants?
It's a good question, bro. It's a private airstrip. So I don't know how that works. I don't have a clue. That's a good question though. And if the guy, if there's planes,
then we're like, we need to check your cargo. He'd be like, no. He can say no.
Private land. You ain't coming on to check nothing, son. Freaking, I got guards at the gate. This is Texas, too. Open carry state. I'll freaking shoot you at the gate. Take one step in. You're going down. And other Texans will be like, well, I mean, I'd have done it too. Step on my property.
Now, all you can do now is use the book and the legislature to maybe give him hell for it, I suppose.
Hopefully they stick on this guy. Because this is a problem. People might not know it right now, but like you said, 10 years down the road, 20 years, if he keeps and maintains his property, that was one of the things they were saying. They don't know, now that they've canceled his ability to put up the wind farm, they don't know if he'll stick around and keep the land or not. That's what they're watching for. But hopefully they watch it because there's many things you could do with property like that so close to a military base and so close to the border of Mexico.
They can watch the 200 square miles of every inch of it. Like, you don't know what's going on. That's a big area.
It's huge.
200 miles, you know, yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
You can do anything, man. Whew. China. Ballsy bastards. But anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. This has been another episode of BTG. We've been talking about Texas and China. Stuff you might not know about. Now you do. You don't know, now you know. All right. We will catch you guys in the next video.
Peace.
Peace.